So today is closing day. This is the day that I am closing on my first rental property. And I just received a text from my wife that says, Levi, congratulations, you're a real estate investor. And then with one of those kissy face emojis, you know the one I'm talking about. And that meant the world to me because or just to know that I have her encouragement, and her encouragement has been a big help in making it this far. And I don't know if it would be possible without her encouragement. The notary just left my house. Logistics notary just left my house. Very knowledgeable mobile notary came to my house and we signed all the paperwork. He's going to double check it, mail it off. And by this time, maybe 2 days from now, everything should be settled. But having made it this far, and I don't want to pretend like I'm across the finish line or like I'm a know-it-all kind of investor and I've got a course to sell you or something, but I want to make the analogy to what I am familiar with. As many of you know, I am an adventure athlete, and I have been for a very long time. I probably know adventure sports better than I know anything else. I've been climbing mountains, I've been running ultra marathons for at least 20 years. I've been coaching ultra marathon runners for about 10 years. And it was only recently that I've kind of switched focus. So in making goals for life, there's a lot of things that we can optimize for. And for a very long time, I've been optimizing for superhero level of fitness. And it's done a lot of great things for me. I've been to amazing places. I've climbed hundreds of mountains. I've made fantastic friends. But as I turned 40, in fact, when I turned 40, shortly after I got injured in a way that I couldn't run for almost a year. And it kind of made me reassess what I wanted to prioritize for. Now, I haven't stopped running. I still adventure. I'm going to say I probably adventure more than 90% of ultra running athletes. But I am toning it down a little bit in order to switch my focus to the things that I want to optimize for. But I'm using all the things that I learned as an ultra runner and all the things I teach as a coach as the foundation for the things that I'm doing going forward. And the thing I've decided to do going forward is real estate investing. So making it to this point is huge, but I only equate it to making it to the start line for a marathon. If I were to coach an athlete who had never run a marathon before, I would equate where I'm at to getting to the start line of your very first marathon. And the truth is, the start line for your very first marathon is most of the way there. You've put in the work, you've done the hard part, which is to commit and train and discipline yourself to do the things that you need to do. And there's a funny thing that happens in ultra marathoning. I'm gonna tell the story of one of my athletes in particular who's amazing. He's been with me for probably 9 years. I believe I coached him to his first marathon. And that's a huge accomplishment. But after you run your first marathon, there's a shift in your mindset as to what is possible. And this is one of the big things that I do as a coach, as an ultra endurance coach, is I help facilitate this mindset shift. When you run your first marathon, all of a sudden running a marathon becomes possible. You recognize that it's possible. So this athlete, Yaroslav, shout out to Yaroslav. I believe I coached him to his first marathon, maybe not. Either way, he's come a long way. He ran his first marathon probably in 2013 or so. But last year, he traveled around the world, moving from iconic city to iconic city. And in every city that he landed in, he ran a marathon. About once a week, he ran a marathon, just for fun. Not even the race, just a marathon distance to go see the sights, go see the coolest things in this area. And he didn't even think of it as a challenge. A marathon at this point, no big deal, right? And when he ran his first marathon, he was young. He's 30s. Now he's pushing 50. Runs a marathon every week. Doesn't even think twice about it. My ultra runners used to be getting to a marathon was a huge accomplishment, and it still is. Don't get me wrong, marathon runners, it's a huge accomplishment. But now, training for a 100-mile race, you'll probably run 4 or 5 marathon distance training runs with 10,000, 20,000 feet of climbing just for funsies, just to get ready for your 100-miler. This mindset shift I find amazing. The marathon hasn't changed. The distance of a marathon hasn't changed. The fitness level hasn't changed, right? Most of these athletes, they were probably in better shape in their 20s than they are now pushing 50. But the mindset of what is and what is not hard has changed. And it did the same for me. That was the same thing for me. My first marathon, I thought it was impossible for anybody to run a marathon until I did it. Then I thought it was impossible for anybody to run 50 miles until I did it. Then I thought it was impossible for anybody to run 100 miles until I did it. And so, bring this back around. That first marathon is hard. But successive marathons after that, I anticipate being easier. So getting to this point with my first rental property was hard. A lot of it is the emotional stress, which is why I appreciate my wife. The courses out there, I haven't seen any. I don't really take the courses, I'm gonna be honest. But the information out there, I don't see any that talk about the emotional stress. So I'm gonna talk to you about the emotional stress. Doing the numbers, it's not too hard. It's math. If you've gone to college, high school, you can probably figure it out, doing the numbers. Talking to people, that's a special skill. You gotta talk to a lot of people. You gotta be personable, you gotta not be an asshole. Harder for some people than for others. It's actually kind of hard for me. I don't like talking on the phone. But the emotional stress is tricky to manage. And I'm gonna say the biggest one is fear. And the reason why fear is hard to overcome is because at some point you gotta jump with incomplete information, right? I did my numbers for months. All the numbers made sense. But there's a fear in the back of your mind that what if the housing market collapses? What if I can't get this rented? What if I'm mistaken on my numbers and I don't know how to do this properly? What if is always there in the back of your mind, and you will never have complete information. And so at some point, you gotta jump. You gotta jump out of the plane with incomplete information. And that fear, for me, is the hardest part. I feel it right now on closing day. What if I can't rent these units, right? If they sit empty for 5 months, that's 2 or 3 years worth of expected returns that are gone. What if there's a flood? What if the tenants that I do get in it are jerks, right? What if? It might happen. You hear stories all the time, but at some point, you got to jump with incomplete information. That is why I appreciate my wife's encouragement. Her kissy emoji means the world to me, because when you're feeling that fear, you need somebody to tap you on the back and say, this is the right move. You're going to be okay. Let's move forward. I don't know what I'm going to title this video. I don't know what the theme is. I just feel that there's not enough content out there talking about the emotional roller coaster of trying to invest in real estate. There's lots of things out there that talk about choosing a market and choosing whatever and getting the information. The information's out there, so I don't need to regurgitate it. I'm probably not your best guy to get the information about choosing a market or whether or not you want garbage disposals in your apartments. I don't know that yet. Maybe someday I will be that guy. I feel that information is out there. The information that's not out there is to let you know that it's going to be scary and you're not going to have the information before you jump. Get all the information you can, but don't let that stop you from taking action. So take the action, make the steps, move forward, and hope everything will turn out right. If you've done your research, I have faith in you, like I got faith in me. Take those steps forward. Like, subscribe, do the things. I didn't say my intro. If you're the first time here, my name is Levi. We're building a real estate portfolio from scratch. I hope you'll join me on my journey.